Our film today is based on a true story that took place in the U.S. state of Kentucky during the 1990s. The film begins with Teresa in the hospital after giving birth to her baby girl, while her husband Ed is extremely happy about the newborn. Teresa chooses the name Michelle for her daughter because it means, the gift. 5 years later, we see Teresa in the hospital again, with Ed sitting beside her in the room. The doctor then apologizes to Ed, removes the machines connected to Teresa's body, and tells Ed that his wife's death is only a matter of time. Ed breaks down, says goodbye to his wife, and promises her that he will take care of the girls. A short time later, specifically in the city of Louisville, Kentucky, in 1993, we see Sharon at a bar with her friend Rose. Sharon drinks heavily, dances, and sings until she loses consciousness. When she wakes up the next day, she is in her house with Rose beside her. Rose tells her that she will not allow her to repeat what happened to her mother because of drinking, and that she must attend alcohol rehabilitation sessions because she needs help. However, Sharon is not convinced by her friend's words and tells her, "I am not an alcoholic like my mother." But in the end, she listens to her friend and goes to the rehabilitation center. There, she hears a man say that the reason for his addiction to alcohol was emptiness, and that he stopped drinking when he found a purpose to live for. After the session, Sharon goes to a large supermarket and buys alcohol. Before paying for what she bought, she sees Michelle's picture in the newspaper and reads an article stating that she is 5 years old and urgently needs a liver transplant or she will die. At the same time, Ed is preparing to go to church for his wife's funeral. His older daughter Ashley enters with Michelle, and Michelle has smeared her face with her mother's makeup. When her father asks her why she did that, she tells him that she wants to be beautiful like her mother. He wipes the makeup off her face, and then he notices that Michelle is scratching her arm a lot, which is a sign that her illness is worsening. Meanwhile, Sharon is in her car reading the details of the article about Michelle, and by coincidence she has stopped her car in front of the church where Teresa's funeral is being held. She watches Ed and his daughters entering the church, so she follows them inside. Michelle sees her and tells her, "Your dress is very beautiful and shiny. I want one like it." When Ed sees her, he asks, "Who are you?" She tells him that she read an article about his daughter's condition and happened to pass by the church, so she entered by coincidence. Ed then takes his daughters and moves away from her. That same evening, Sharon is with her friend and business partner Rose at the beauty salon they own. After Sharon tells her what happened, Rose says to her, "How could you enter the funeral of a woman you do not know?" Sharon tells her that the little girl stirred her compassion, especially after she learned from the article that she needs a liver transplant urgently, and that her father cannot afford the cost of the surgery because he spent everything he had on his wife's treatment before she died. She says that she believes she must help them. Rose asks, "And where will you get the money to pay for the surgery?" Sharon replies that she will not pay for the operation herself, but that she must find a solution through which she can help them. That same night, Ed is at home crushing medicine and adding it to his daughter's food so she can tolerate its taste. His mother asks him if he has eaten dinner, and he tells her that he does not want to eat. He goes upstairs to feed his daughter, and when she asks him, "Where is my mom?" he tries to avoid answering her question. After the girl falls asleep, he goes to his mother and tells her, "You do not have to stay with us. You can go back to your home." But she refuses and says, "I must stay by your side in these circumstances." The next day, Ed goes to his job repairing house roofs. A severe storm begins, so he cannot complete the work and returns home. That night, he notices that the whites of his daughter's eyes have turned yellow, so he quickly carries her and takes her to the hospital. His mother tells him, "You won't be able to drive in this weather." He replies, "I have no other choice." Here we learn that the yellowing of Michelle's eyes means that she could die at any moment. He manages to reach the hospital and tells the nurse that his daughter urgently needs another blood transfusion. Michelle is admitted to the hospital. The doctor tells Ed that his daughter will die within a year if the surgery is not performed. Ed asks, what is her number on the low-cost government medical treatment list? The doctor tells him that her case is now number 6 on the waiting list, which means she will not be able to have the operation for 2.5 years. The doctor also tells Ed, "I do not want you to lose hope, but I also want you to be prepared for the possibility of her death at any time." The next morning, the hospital accountant asks him if he has insurance that covers the hospital expenses. He answers, no, and gives her his credit card to charge it, but the card is declined. He is forced to pay the last amount of money he has so they can leave the hospital. When he leaves, he sees that many houses were destroyed by the storm. At the same time, Sharon launches a large donation campaign for Michelle. She asks people to get their hair done at the beauty salon and tells them that the money they pay will be donated to Michelle so she can undergo the surgery. The campaign succeeds, and a very large number of people come to the salon. By the end of the day, she has collected more than $3,000. Rose tells her, "Why didn't you ever advertise our salon like this before?" Sharon replies, "I needed an incentive, and now I've found it." Meanwhile, Ed returns home. His mother asks him if he brought her the pasta she wanted. He tells her that he forgot. She says, "How could you forget when I wrote the requests on a piece of paper so you wouldn't forget?" He gets angry, leaves her, and goes up to his room. She follows him, and he collapses and tells her that the money he had was not enough to buy the things she wanted. He also tells her that the private hospital administration informed him that they will no longer admit his daughter again, and that they will transfer her case to the public hospital, which is 2 hours away from their home. At that moment, Ashley opens the door and tells her father that the strange woman who was at their mother's funeral is at the door downstairs. He and his mother go down to her. Sharon tells him that she does not have his phone number, so she came directly to his house. She gives him an envelope of money and tells him that she owns a beauty salon, and that when she learned his daughter's story, she organized a donation campaign in her name and managed to collect this amount for her. Then Barbara, Ed's mother, invites her to dinner, and she agrees. When Ed tells his mother, "That woman is unstable. How could you invite her to dinner?" she replies, "This is the least we can do for her." At dinner, Sharon notices a box next to the dining table that is filled with unpaid hospital bills. The next day, she contacts Ed's accountant and tells him that she wants to know the total amount of Ed's debts. Then she goes to Ed's house and tells him, "How can you be in debt for $432,000, $400,000, of which is owed to the hospital?" She enters the house and says, "We must reschedule these debts," and begins searching for the bills in the house. Ed tells her that he is not comfortable with her interference. She replies, "And I do not accept that anyone refuses my help." They then review the bills together, and she learns that his income is $3,600 per month. She tells him, "That means you only need $1,800 to cover your basic household needs, excluding your daughter's treatment." He says, "Yes." She asks him, "Have you thought about selling your house and buying a smaller one, and using the difference to pay your debts?" He replies, "The house is not for sale." She tells him that she will reschedule his debts, and that through the donations they will collect, he will be able to pay off a large part of them. That same night, Sharon prepares Michelle's file to present it to bank and company managers to ask them to donate for Michelle. When she finishes, she calls her son Derek, but when he does not answer, she leaves him a message on the answering machine asking him to call her. The next day, Ed sees that many houses need repairs and that the number of workers is very small. When he returns home, he tells his mother that he will apply for a repairman job at a construction company. The following day, Sharon visits them at home and brings gifts for the girls. When she sees Ed about to leave, she asks him, "Where are you going?" He tells her that he is going to apply for a job. She asks him to show her the resume he will submit to the company. He shows her a paper with only 2 lines about his experience, and the photo on it is very bad. She tells him that she will design a new resume for him and take a proper photo. She asks him if he has a camera. He says yes and brings it to her. She takes photos of him, but he looks sad in all of them. She then makes the girls take photos with him. He smiles, so she takes the photo and adds it to the resume she prepared. She goes with him and submits the resume to the company owner. The owner refuses to hire him because he does not have insurance. Sharon then convinces him to hire Ed, telling him that Ed can repair in a short time double the number of houses that any other worker could repair. The owner agrees to hire him. After that, Sharon goes to all the banks and companies and presents them with Michelle's file, and she manages to obtain donation checks for Michelle. At the same time, Ed starts his job and receives a good amount of money from the company owner. One day, Ed returns home from work and finds his mother's leg in a cast. He asks her, "What happened?" She tells him that she fell on her leg and that Sharon took her to the hospital. He gets angry at his mother and says, "Why didn't you call me?" She replies, "Because I know you're at work and I didn't want to worry you." When he goes upstairs to see the girls, he finds Sharon putting their mother's makeup on them. He gets angry at her and throws her out of the house. That same night, Sharon goes to see her son at the restaurant where he sings with the band. When he sees her, it is clear that he does not welcome her presence. She tells him that she left him many messages on his answering machine and that she missed him, so she came to see him. He tells her, "You've seen me. Please leave." She tells him that she is sorry for what she did to him, and that she is now helping a little girl who needs a liver transplant and is collecting donations for her surgery. He tells her, "I feel sorry for this girl, because as usual, you will disappoint her and abandon her just as you did with me because of your drinking addiction. You are the one who needs help, but you never admitted it." He asks her to leave and never come back. She feels sad, leaves him, and goes away. That same night, Michelle's health condition deteriorates, so her father takes her to the hospital and calls Sharon, asking her to help him. The next morning, she goes to him at the hospital and takes Ashley to school. After a while, Sharon is at the house with his mother. When Ed returns from work, he is very upset and tells them that the cost of Michelle's treatment has increased by $400. Sharon tells him that they will find a solution and suggests that they all go ice skating together. He refuses, so she tells him, "You need to take a break from the grief and pressure you're living under," but he insists on his position. She then calls the girls and says to them, "Daddy is going with us to ice skate," forcing him to agree. They all go together and spend a very happy time, and the girls are delighted. After that, they let the girls play and the two of them sit together at the cafe. Ed thanks her for everything she is doing for them and asks her to talk about herself. She tells him that she does not like to talk about herself. He replies, "I insist that you talk." She tells him that she married a man she believed loved her, but he left her and their son, formed a band, and stayed away from them. He asks her about her son, and she tells him that he also left her. When she returns home, she leaves Derek a message on the answering machine saying, "Happy birthday. I went ice skating today with the little girl and her family because I was celebrating your 23rd birthday." Then she says, "I love you," and hangs up. The next day, she goes to Ed's house and tells him that she has a very good idea and asks him not to refuse. She again suggests that he sell the house, but he refuses and tells her, "The house is the only thing I have left from Teresa, and I will never give it up." Her admiration for him grows even more. The following day, she goes to the hospital administration and asks them to forgive Ed's debt, but they refuse. She then tells them that Ed is indebted to them because of his wife's treatment bills, and now his daughter is also sick and he owes them for her treatment as well, and that they should have mercy on him. She begs them to put themselves in his place. Surprisingly, they are convinced and forgive the entire debt, which amounts to $400,000. Sharon then goes to Ed and gives him an empty frame as a gift. After that, she gives him the bill showing the cancellation of the $400,000 debt that he owed the hospital and tells him, this bill should be framed. He cannot believe that she managed to do that. He thanks her, leaves her, goes into his room, and breaks down crying. She hears him crying and feels that she has lifted a great burden from his shoulders. The next night, Ed is at work, while Sharon is at home with the girls. Suddenly, Michelle begins to bleed. They call Ed at work and tell him that they are at the hospital. He rushes there. The doctor tells him that his daughter's condition has worsened and that they have placed her as number 1 on the list of children in need of a liver transplant, but they must find a donor quickly. Ed asks, "How much time does my daughter have left if the operation is not performed?" The doctor replies, 4 weeks. He also tells him that if a donor is found in time, he must travel with her to the state of Omaha to have the operation there. He tells him that Omaha is 10 hours away by car, and that the donor's liver remains viable for only 6 hours after removal. Therefore, if they find a donor, he must travel with his daughter by plane to Omaha so the operation can be performed before the liver becomes unusable. Ed becomes angry with the doctor and says, "Where am I supposed to get a private plane?" Sharon says to him, "I promise I will get a private plane for her." He dismisses her words and walks away. After that, Sharon calls the airlines and asks if they can transport a sick child for surgery by private plane, but she cannot find any plane. Then she calls the office of a bank manager named Albert. His secretary answers and tells her that Albert's not available. She takes some cupcakes and goes to give them to the secretary and tells her Michelle's story. The secretary is moved and allows her to meet Albert. When she meets Albert, she tells him, "I will make you a hero." That same day, she goes to Ed's house and tells Barbara that she has managed to find 5 planes for them, not just 1. Barbara is overjoyed and calls Ed to inform him. He says to Sharon, "How did you do that?" She tells him, "What matters now is that we must launch another donation campaign to collect $200,000 for the surgery cost." He refuses and tells her, "I will not treat my daughter with donations. What you have already done for us is more than enough." When she returns to the salon and tells her friend what happened, her friend says to her, "You have already done more than enough for them. I don't understand why you have stopped your entire life for this girl." Sharon replies, "Because I did not find anyone to do that for me when I was her age." Then she leaves and walks away. That same night, when Ed returns from work, he finds Ashley waiting for him. He asks her, "What made you stay up so late?" She asks him, "Will Michelle die like my mom?" He does not answer her. At the same time, Sharon is at home watching the news. She calls the TV station administration, tells them about Michelle's condition, and asks them to launch a donation campaign for the little girl. The next evening, Ed is at work. One of his friends tells him that something strange is happening at his house. He goes home and is shocked to find the news channel conducting a television interview with his daughter, with Sharon present. He throws the reporter and her crew out of the house and asks Sharon to speak to him alone. He gets angry with her and says, "I told you that I would not allow any more donations to be collected for my daughter, yet you put her on television to beg people. Do not think that you are doing this for us because you feel sorry for my daughter as you claim. I know that you are doing this to save yourself from the loss you are living in, not to save my daughter." Then he leaves and goes back to work. Barbara apologizes to Sharon for what her son did and asks her to stay with the girls until she goes home and returns. After Barbara leaves, Sharon finds alcohol in the house. After a short while, Ed returns from work. Before entering the house, he finds Ashley frightened. She tells him that Sharon had been acting strangely and scared her and Michelle, and that Sharon almost died. He takes her and enters the house, and there he sees the empty bottles of alcohol. He realizes that Sharon is asleep, not dead. He tells Ashley that she is sleeping and asks her to go up to her room. Then he wakes Sharon and says to her, "How could you behave like this with the girls?" He also tells her, "I will call you a taxi to take you away." While they are waiting for the taxi, he tells her, "I do not want you to come near my daughters again." She replies, "A wise decision. I am a broken woman. My mother was an alcoholic and abandoned me. I was determined not to be like her with my son, but my son hates me. There is always a voice in my head telling me that I am a bad woman, that I do not deserve love and that I do not deserve to be a mother, and that voice only disappears when I drink." She adds, "I wanted to save your daughter to save myself. I am sorry that I used her." He comforts her and says, "You are a good woman." At that moment, the taxi arrives, so she leaves and goes away. The next morning, she goes to her friend and tells her, "I need help." After that, she regularly attends rehabilitation sessions to recover from alcohol addiction. She calls her son and leaves him a message on the answering machine telling him that she is attending rehabilitation and that this is the last message she will leave for him. One day, Ed is at home with his daughters when they watch his daughter's interview on television, and their bank account number is displayed on the screen so that the public can send donations to it. On January 17, 1994, a severe snowstorm hits. All the roads are shut down, electricity is cut off in many areas, and no one can leave their home because the weather is extremely harsh. Suddenly, Ed receives a call from the hospital. The doctor tells him that they have found a suitable liver for his daughter and that they must be at the hospital within 6 hours. Ed tells the doctor they will be there on time, hangs up, and prepares his daughter to leave. His mother tells him, "It is impossible for you to reach the hospital in this weather." He replies, "If I do not leave now, my daughter will die." He calls Sharon and tells her that they have found the liver and that he must travel with his daughter today. She tells him, "Hang up now. I will arrange everything and call you back." She calls Rose and asks her to find out which roads are still open and unaffected by the storm. Then she calls Albert and tells him, "You must find me a plane immediately. The girl is having the operation today." He replies, "It is impossible to find a pilot willing to fly in this weather." She tells him, "Act immediately, and I will call you back." He calls all the pilots he knows, but they all refuse to fly in the snowstorm. At the same time, Rose calls Sharon and tells her that the only open road is Canyon Creek Road. Sharon calls Barbara and informs her, and Barbara tells her son. Ed takes his daughter and leaves, heading to the road Sharon told them about, but he is shocked to find that it is closed. He changes direction and takes a side road. There, he finds a large tree fallen in the middle of the road. He tries to move it but cannot, so he collapses and begins to cry. At that moment, Sharon calls the reporter and tells her that the only way for Ed and his daughter to reach their destination on time is to find a helicopter to take them from the road to the airport. The reporter says on air, "If any pilot has a helicopter and can help Ed and his daughter, please contact us." A pilot actually calls and says that he is willing to help, but he must find a flat area with no tall buildings or houses to be able to land. The reporter tells the viewers what the pilot said. A pastor then calls the station and says that the pilot can land in the vacant land next to the church. Sharon calls Rose and tells her, "Have your relatives search for Ed on the road I told him about, inform him that we have found a pilot, and bring him to the place where they will board the helicopter." Rose informs her relatives, and they take their car and go looking for him. At that time, Ed has already lost hope and is calling the doctor from a public phone on the road to tell him that he will not be able to come. He is surprised to see Rose's relatives in front of him, and one of them tells him everything that happened. Ed then tells the doctor that he will arrive at the scheduled time for the operation, hangs up, gets into his car, and drives to the place where they will board the helicopter. At the same time, the pilot informs the reporter that in order to land the helicopter, the area must be cleared and have little snow. Every resident in the area takes a snow shovel and they all go to remove the snow from the landing area. Sharon is surprised to see her son arrive carrying a shovel. They all cooperate together, clear the snow, and prepare the ground. When the pilot says that he cannot see the landing area because of the storm, Ashley takes off her red coat and places it on the ground. Everyone else does the same. The pilot then sees the path and successfully lands the helicopter. At the same time, Ed arrives and thanks Sharon for what she has done for his daughter. He tells her, "The voice in your head is lying. You are an angel and you deserve to be loved by everyone." Then he boards the helicopter with his daughter. The next day, Michelle wakes up in her hospital room after undergoing the operation. In the end, we learn that Sharon and Ed remain friends to this day. In the final scene of the film, we see the real photo of Michelle, and we also see the photo of Sharon, the angel God sent to be the reason for saving Michelle's life.